Hello, hello, welcome. Again, welcome. This is like the 27th week, assuming I can count properly in my notes. And, who boy, people do still occasionally show up for this, so that's cool. Let's get the boring stuff out of the way, and then let's get straight to the exciting stuff, and then we'll get back to the boring stuff, and then more exciting stuff at the end of the stream. Yeah, so, clearly, same streamers ever, Comrade Bubbles, Ryan, what have you. I am disabled. I may experience muscle spasming, twitching, stuttering, slurring of speech related due to the muscle spasming. I understand that it can be disquieting for some viewers and difficult to listen to or watch. I will try to indicate when that is, blown over, but I can't always guarantee that I do so. Oh, hang on, I need to mess with my mic setting. I'm just going to mute it and then unmute it very shortly afterwards. Hopefully that is better for the mic. I realised it was set to omnidirectional and not cardioid. Anyway, yes. So that's all that stuff. I do struggle with multiple trains of thought. So if someone posts something in chat and I'm halfway through a train of thought, I will usually acknowledge that I've seen it, but I will try to finish what I'm saying first and then go on to it, unless it's just a short diversion, or unless I think that it can serve as a where's my freaking cursor? There it is. As a interesting talking point, shall we say. Clearly, as I've mentioned, people do raise questions in chat. I realise my webcam is off center. Please don't hate me. As you can see here, where's this side somewhere. Please do feel free to talk, ask questions, what have you. This is a community-driven show. I pitched this to On Its Path as being community-driven, and if I'm ignoring you, that's not the point of the show. So feel free to ask, to talk, to discuss. This is all about kind of revealing the inner workings of one, and I cannot stress this enough, one person's way of creating content. This is all community content. I don't work for On Its Path, so don't expect this to see in an official publication. But in theory, eventually, who knows, it might end up on the Nexus, on the Storypath Nexus. The previous adventure will be on the Storyteller's Vault soon, brackets TM. I've just had a very busy life recently. The past few months have been incredibly busy. Repetition, but who cares? Busy and stressful for me, and I just haven't had the time or kind of like the mental brain space to sit down and to format it properly and edit it properly and then release it on the Storyteller's Vault. But it will go up there eventually. I do promise that. I mean, I'd be a fool not to, because I wrote it and then it's just sitting there doing nothing when it could be making me enough money to buy a cup of tea every now and then. Not that I drink tea, a cup of hot chocolate every now and then. But there we go. So, yes, please do ask questions. Okay, I promised you something exciting, and here it is. There's no easy way of saying this. I'm just going to rip it off by saying Kickstarter on Thursday for Scion. Woo! I mean, obviously, I usually elaborate upon the merits of the Monday meeting notes as being, weekly update about On Its Path stuff. The bulk of the notes today are about the Kickstarter for Demigod on Thursday at, I think, 2 p.m. EDT. Yes, Thursday, September the 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern US time. Unlike Origin and Hero, however, it's only going to be for one book, and the manuscript is, functionally complete. It will be released in chunks throughout the course of the campaign, so that's cool. Also, if you want something cool, definitely click the link and check out the art previews. The cover is so good. Also, Titanomachy is a separate product. That's just coming straight out on Wednesday, I think, the advanced PDF. Scroll down to the bottom. Yes, on Wednesday. Advanced PDF for sale on DriveThruRPG. It's a supplement about, would you believe, the Titanomachy. It will require both Origin and Hero to use, but it will give you antagonists, more Titans, adventure hooks, and birthrights and knacks for Titan themings. So I'll probably pick that up. I will say, however, obviously with the Kickstarter releasing the manuscript throughout, I will not be making any content for that until the game is out, because there's no point. I could write it, sure, which would involve talking about rules that not everyone's seen, so I probably shouldn't do that anyway. But it won't be up. I won't be able to put it anywhere. Well, to make money. Although everything I make is pay what you want, but to make money on the Nexus. So it'll just kind of be like languishing on my own website, which not many people visit because I've basically abandoned it because I've got too much other stuff to do. So you'll have to wait until Demigod is actually released for any Demigod content on this show. Obviously, apologize if you want Demigod content, but I'm not going to use non-final rules to make an adventure I can't put anywhere. So there we go. Exciting that it's coming out though. It also behooves me to point out that Adobe's crashed. Along with the news about Scion and about Demigod and Titanomachy, there is I think it's virtual tabletop ready adventure for Scarred Lands. Yes. I think so. Yes. Gauntlet to Spirogos is an introductory adventure intended for levels 1 to 3, which, is basically the shtick of this show, and it's an older adventure than the show, so I clearly wasn't involved. But if you're interested in Scarred Lands, definitely check it out. Scarred Lands is a great campaign setting and kind of rules hack of the 5th edition OGL. And then obviously if you scroll down to the bottom, you got all the links to podcasts and project updates, like Wild Hunt's now in second draft. It's out of red lines. And if you like Scarred Lands, Dead Man's Rust is in editing. Still not entirely sure what that is, but Travis is pretty excited about it. So, hi, that one guy. The T1 guy? I don't know. Hello, how are you? Yeah, check out the Monday meeting notes. I'll hammer that point home later as well about the Kickstarter, just in case anyone's forgotten. Or alternatively, people do occasionally join the stream midstream, and might want to know when the Demigod Kickstarter is coming. Anyway, that's on my starter show preamble. Or ramble, actually, as the case is. Again, don't expect this energy to continue throughout the show. It will wear off while I'm typing, making spelling mistakes, grammatical errors, all up the wazoo. Anyway, so recap. Standard recap. Obviously, I'm me. I run introductory games. I like to think at this point I have some idea of what makes a good introductory game. At least, following for the people I run games for. But we still have yet to reach the introductory game. We're still 5 weeks in, 10-ish hours, still creating a Pantheon. Again, this is an artificially extended process. If I were doing this myself, obviously I wouldn't be talking to people. I'd be checking resources. I'd be doing whatever I need to do to get it done swiftly. It's not going to have taken that much shorter than 10 hours, but I do obviously spend like 20 minutes per stream rambling about intro and outro stuff. A couple, like 5-10 minutes, hopefully talking to chat, answering questions. Hopefully that's going to get longer the more the stream goes on, the show goes on. I'm not in any hurry to release the adventure, to finish writing the adventure. This is, as I say, this is a community thing. So I'm not going to cover my outline of intro games now, but so far we've created a Pantheon, and that's it. We have I say we because chat was involved. We have created the principal members of a Pantheon. You can see them labeled down here on the left. I don't need this Word document open anymore. So I'll put it so I can see chat. Yes, we have all of these 9, I think it was, 3, 6, 10. I can count. 10 gods, 10 principal members of a pantheon called the Inkborn. You can see here they're a non-mythical pantheon of literary archetypes. So they're super young and still trying to figure out where they kind of fit in the world, both with the capital W and the lowercase w. And we finished that up last time, complete with callings, purviews, and design notes about why each one has the callings and purviews they have. Again, this is not final material. It may change. This is 13 pages already. Jesus. This may change. that you may find upon release that they've got a different calling or purview than you were expecting, but I'll update the design note to reflect why. And then there's aliases for each kind of public domain character that the Inkborn is inspired by. And then last time we finished all that up, did the quick recap, went through and added the design notes, and started the Cosmology, the Inkborn Cosmology. And would you believe, in the 2 weeks since then, because this stream is bi-weekly for those of you who don't know, or fortnightly if you prefer, I have been racking my brain for cool names, and I've got nothing for the overworld. The underworld I'm probably going to call the Stacks or the Appendix, but the overworld maybe just the source or font, as in like font of inspiration. I also need to check something in the Hero PDF for where Axes Mundi are kind of like provided. Pantheons, it really doesn't matter. Okay, you know when I said Adobe had crashed, I was actually kind of like half kidding. But no, Adobe has 100% crashed. Yeah, I'm just going to have to reopen those PDFs. Bear with me 1 second, chat. I kind of need these reference PDFs, so basically I need my crutch. I'm not terribly entertaining by myself, and having the PDF to consult makes it sound like I actually do know what I'm talking about. Please don't crash this time. That's looking more hopeful. So how are you? How's everyone been? Hope everyone's weeks are going well. You're as hype as I am about Demigod being released, although I fully admit, there we go, that's better. I fully admit that I am a huge nerd and get... Why do I keep opening Mythical Denizens? I do not know why I keep opening the wrong PDF. I get excited about role-playing games probably far more than I should. No, that's the wrong chapter in Mysteries of... Ah, yes. Same. Good. A lot of the information I'm using about how to create my own Pantheon and whatnot is coming from Mysteries of the World, the Scion 2nd edition companion. Highly worth checking it out. Not only for the kind of new system for modeling cults in games and allowing you to use cults as birthrights, it also includes 3 new Pantheons and kind of how you make your own Pantheon, as well as expanded crafting rules for relics. Pretty much everything I'm doing here is going to be coming from the core books, you know, Hero, Origin and Hero. I'm just using this companion to give some sort of kind of, I'd say, greater insight into the process. That's Cosmology. But my goal is, as with the first adventure, which is still available as per what you want purchase, to just have it as a kind of, you need 1 book to play this, and it is the rule book, although by this point you need 2 books. Terra Incognite come after cool. So Terra Incognite come after the overworld and underworld stuff. Is the book online? You can buy it PDF from DriveThruRPG. All 3 books that I'm referencing right now, Origin, Hero, and the Companion, are available from the Onyx Path store on DriveThruRPG. As, you know, PDF, print on demand, PDF and print on demand. Actually, no, I think you need to go through Studio 2 for the print on demand stuff. The link to the physical books are in the Monday meeting notes. I know that. Yeah, Studio 2 publishing for the for the physical. Sorry, I got something in my eye. For the physical books. Well, for Origin, anyway. Don't know about Hero, I'll be honest. But the PDFs are definitely available through DriveThruRPG. That was a very long-winded way of answering a very simple question. Okay, so Inkborn's overworld. So we go. I need to add a Terra Incognita section here because I want to have 2 Terra Incognitae. Again, my keyboard, so that it does not get picked up by the microphone, is under my computer desk on my lap. So I promise you I'm not just looking at my groin. I am actually typing, and sometimes, because it's not natural for me to be typing this low, I have to look down to see where keys are. That needs an E on the end. Terra Incognitae. Okay, so the overworld. The Inkborn's overworld is a place of sweeping vistas, dark chasms, and tumultuous weather, as defined by the stories that form the backdrops for its inhabitants' lives as by their own will. The Inkwell, that name is definitely going to change, is a realm of change and opportunity. The Inkborn reside here. Use the pliable nature of their overworld's reality to constantly create the situations they wish they were in. Whenever a mortal visits this overworld or an incarnation walks the world, the differences between the 2 places are immediately apparent. Honest, rigid, and defined. I'm just recapping this for my own benefit. I do apologise. As I say, it's been a busy few weeks. The other is a place of flux. Capital F, not capital F. We're not playing Promethean. It can be reshaped with but a moment's thought and a whole lot of legend. Axes Mundi to the Inkwell do exist, usually in libraries of place security. Perhaps one of the best hidden is in the Louvre, where it is said if one writes a certain word on the small pyramid beneath the Pyramide Inversée, steps into it, one will find themselves on the edge of the overworld. Simple Axes Mundi exist within sufficiently large libraries, and some sounds say that they manage to gain entry through their dreams. That should say they have managed to get entry. There we go. Okay. How much is usually written about overworlds? Let's check the book. I'm not going to check the ACA because they're weird. They have like 9. 2 paragraphs. Right. I also realized I'm judging all of my work by lines taken, but not actually putting them into the columns that they'd be in the book. I think that's fine. I might just add a smidge to the overworld. Again, Inkwell is a terrible name. Becoming. Gestalt or Gestalt. I'm never sure how you pronounce that one. Again, I was thinking source or font, but of inspiration. The wellspring. There we go. Was it like Control Shift? It is Control Shift to highlight. Excellent. Shortcuts. How do they work? Exactly like that. So how is this formatted in the book? Oh, right, yeah, there's no actual unified format for this. I'm just going to put overworld : the wellspring. There we go. Why is that? No, because it's the wellspring. That is a word, right? I'm not making that up. That is an actual word. Wellspring, a source of continuous supply. Yeah, it is. Excellent. Cool. That does exactly what I want it to do. So, continuing on. The one unifying, even better. Due to its mutable and unpredictable nature. This is the stream, by the way, if you've never been here before, me typing. Due to its mutable and unpredictable nature, it is quite common for... Nope, Aces, not Axes. Axes Mundi. to spontaneously appear and disappear just as quickly. Again, this is all first draft. I will be going through and tidying it up and making corrections where needed before final release. I am thinking I might stagger these, so like just release this when it's done on the Nexus as just as a Pantheon, and then work on the adventure. Appear and disappear as quickly as dreams are forgotten in the minutes after waking. I'm aiming for poetic there. Due to its mutable and unpredictable nature, it's quite common for Axes Mundi to spontaneously appear and disappear as quickly as dreams are forgotten in the minutes after waking. One unifying factor among these temporary axes. I think Axes Mundi should always be capitalized because it's a title in this case. Oops, nope, not down. Right. There we go. Is that they form in places of great potential and nascent creativity. The older location, the more established creativity / creative output in that location. Yes, I'm touch typing. Longer the axis Mundi persists. There we go. I'm happy with that. So, Underworld. So I've got a choice here. I mentioned like 10 minutes ago, maybe slightly more, that I was toying with the idea of calling this like the appendix or the stacks. I'm leaning towards the stacks. Obviously, if chat suggests a better idea, like Inkwell came from chat, because I really couldn't think of anything. I'm leaning towards the stacks because that's the stacks are kind of like storage levels in big libraries. They usually kind of, it conjures up dark images like dark, dusty, labyrinthine bookshelves. As a pantheon of narrative archetypes inspired by public domain fictional characters, I feel that's kind of appropriate or apt. I wanted something to do with dust because that then carries connotations of being forgotten, which it's kind of, again, it's narrative underworld. The Inkborn are only going to, die if they get forgotten. This is a fully functioning underworld where the Inkborn's worshippers go, after death. So again, with it being stacks tying with the library idea, it's organized. There's going to be, you have nothing. Hey, that's me for the entire stream. Like, at least you're honest about it. Some people just keep going and make stuff up, which, making stuff up is the whole kind of shtick of streaming. Never assume I know what I'm talking about. I generally just open my mouth and hope something interesting comes out, which is why sometimes I struggle to end sentences, because I reach my point halfway through and then my brain is telling my mouth, shut up, you fool, you finished, and my mouth is saying, but I've got more to say, maybe I'll hit something else. That is more prevalent on my own channel, where I just play video games and talk to chat. This, at least because of the conceit of the show, has structure. But I'm glad I'm not alone in that. Anyway, I'm going to go with the stacks for now. A Maze of forgotten or never written stories. Stacks. Nice. Good, good. Functions as both a reward and a punishment. For the Inkborn's worshippers. I really have to slow down, otherwise I'm going to need the toilet before I finish the stream. Yeah, the stream technically lasts for 2 hours, so there's about an hour and a half left, of like 10 minutes of which will be the outro. I could run over slightly, but I don't like doing that. Onyx Path were kind enough to give me this 2-hour time slot, and I don't, want to take their kindness for granted, especially as they now see fit to leave me alone with chat with no oversight. So, more fool them. Anyway, a maze of forgotten or never written stories. The stacks functions as both a reward and a punishment for the Inkborn's worshippers. Among its numberless shelves. Okay, good to know. I mean, I do want to point out, I am a mod. I do have mod powers, so please don't kick anything off. The more time I have to deal with chat drama, the less time I have to actually, create stuff, I guess. Among its numberless shelves, one can find information on any topic and stories from all cultures. Spirits of those Inkborn who have been subsumed or forgotten. Been subsumed as mantles or forgotten. Start all the drama. I mean, good morning. Good morning, Mozari. How are you? I mean, obviously, I know that you have me on the background, so you don't ever have to reply, but I hope everyone is well. The spirits of those Inkborn who have been subsumed as mantles or forgotten entirely. Let's say almost entirely. Can be found. Doing well. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Halls? No. Corridors? Again, it's the wrong word. Avenues. There we go. Grand, elegant, but with a hint that there might be some decay. Can be found wandering the avenues of the stacks. Semicolon for linked sentences and clauses, colon for introduction of definitions and examples. Don't think either is appropriate here. I think a comma will do. Oh, hang on, let's have a parenthetical M dash. That's not the right dash. Oh, right, yeah, you can't do the right dash in Google. Gosh darn it. Please just hyphen. I guess I'll have to use I'll use 2 hyphens. There we go. Waiting to be remembered or to find someone to tell their stories to in the hopes of being reborn as their stories are told once more. Ah, guys, horrible touch typing at a weird height. Don't do it, chat. There we go. Should you find yourself here, be wary of taking anything at face value, as even works of non-fiction are written by a flawed being who may insert their own biases and, after all, everything here has been forgotten for a reason. Those worshippers... That's gonna autocorrect? Nope. Those worshippers who of the Inkborn who live virtuous lives by telling the stories of their patron and embracing everything that they stand for. Again, super nice to have an entire pantheon of non-binary deities. Find themselves in the upper reaches. A bright and airy region of the stacks. Full of comfortable reading nooks. And vending machines? No. People to discuss their favorite stories with. Those who believe themselves unworthy or who, let's say, damaged their patron standing in some way. Are banished to the dust rooms. No, that's terrible. Also, banished is the wrong word. Or sent to the forgotten paths after death. Forgotten paths is a section. Is a region of the stacks that rarely sees light. Brighter than twilight. Brighter than a dim twilight at that. And is a mouldering, dust-choked maze of dead ends and unfinished stories. Because what else is going to function as hell for a book fan? You get to the end of the book and it's not finished. Travel between the two areas. Two areas is common, and few people are confined to either. Although it is common, travel is not safe, as every forgotten villain, creature, and threat lurks among the endless shelves of the stacks. Also, why is non-fiction showing as in... Where's my cursor? Incorrect? Oh, I've always hyphenated it. Interesting. It is difficult to truly die here, but I wanna stay away from souls. Inhabitants of the stacks are forced to slowly pull themselves back together. In the darkest corners of the Forgotten Path. Forgotten Paths, before they can once again walk the bookshelves. Trouble between the two areas are common, and more than a few cities have been made from carved from the bookshelves, or built from the infinite supply of books. And few people are confined to any one location in the stacks. There we go. There's an overworld, there's an underworld. Time for Terra Incognita. The Library of Alexandria. You probably suspected that was coming. Now, I do need to check something. Because this might be me stirring stuff. Okay, that's fine. No, we're good. Oh, we're good. I'm good. Library of Alexandria. Right, I can never actually remember the date this burned down, so bear with me. '260s AD. Okay, that's fine. Hype for Titanomachy and Demigod. Kung Fu Fenris. I am so hyped for Titanomachy and Demigod. I'm 100% going to be using some of the funds I've earned from my previous Sound adventure just to buy Titanomachy on Wednesday, and then obviously Demigod Kickstarter on Thursday evening for me. I've got to get through the entirety of Thursday, which is my day running a Vampire the Masquerade game, so I'll be like, got that ticking away in the back of my mind, like getting hyped for that while I'm hopefully providing an enjoyable experience for my players. Anyway, Right, this needs to be header. Nope. Header 3. Heading 3. When the library... Whoops. It's going to be so amazing. I very much enjoyed the actual play from On Its Path Virtual Con. I can't wait to get my hands on the actual rules. You know, not like actually guys play Scion or run it, because people here are pretty much like D&D or nothing, or Vampire or nothing. But clearly I like working with them because I'm doing this. When the Library of Alexandria burned in the mid 260s CE. This is purely personal preference. So a lot of people are familiar with BC, before Christ, AD, Anno Domini, Year of Our Lord. I am a religious studies graduate, and we worked in BCE, before Common Era, and CE, Common Era. It's exactly the same. It uses exactly the same calendar. It's just more secular, particularly because I was working with Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism, Voodoo. So CE means exactly the same as AD. If you didn't know, if you've seen it before and were curious, that's what it means. That's why it exists. Certain parts of the world and a handful of deities shuddered at the loss of such a large repository of knowledge. Also, you must be doing adventure building homebrew. Have you ever discussed how to run a sound game in more detail? So the problem there is I would love to, like how I handle like rules and things. But to do something like that, I'd either need someone to bounce off of, or for chat to submit like loads of questions. Because I will answer questions from chat about how to handle rules and story ideas and stuff. I need something to talk about. I'm not terribly good at just... Well, I'd like to walk that back a moment. It wasn't specifically about Scion, but the first ever episode of this that I did, it's on my YouTube channel, was just 2 hours of kind of general GM tips. By all means, if you want to if you have questions or whatnot, send them to me. I'm on Twitter, Comrade Bubbles. It's also comradebubbles@gmail.com if you ever want to email me. I can't promise I'll reply, but I will read emails. Or like there's the Honest Path Discord I'm active on. If you like tag me on there again, it's just Comrade Bubbles. With questions and like indicate that you want me to talk about them on stream. I can totally compile a list, and then when I've got a decent number, I can, go through them as a special. The whole adventure building and stuff is just to provide structure to the show. If that answers the question in some way. Just kind of curious about it. I mean, it's kind of take a break from what I was doing. Kind of broad strokes, it's the same as any role-playing game. Obviously, if you know your players, you're gonna have an easier time of it. Like if you know what they like, then you know what kind of content to create or to prepare. And as much as I believe in preparing anything, and you'll know what mix of the three scenes people like. You've got the action adventure, you've got procedural, you've got intrigue. Obviously, kind of you can blur the lines between them. You can have people punching it out in one corner of the room while you're having a tense diplomatic meeting in the other. Um, kind of like the main thing is, without obviously any prompts to respond to, if you know your players, which will just happen over time naturally if you aren't playing with friends, because you can generally pick up on what strangers respond to. Con games are slightly different, although I ran a reasonably successful game at Onyx PathCon. If you pick up what people enjoy, then you can obviously build upon that. Scion more so than, well, Story Path, I guess, more so than a lot of other systems, because it has the fail forward idea. I can't remember if it's in Trinity Continuum. I believe something similar was, but obviously Scion has the momentum thing, whereas you fail, you either get a point of momentum or two, depending on the circumstance, or you find some tangential information that's related, or you meet an important person that's related to what you're trying to do. There was a point, and my brain's completely gone. That whole system relies on you, or encourages you, sorry, to not really have anything like hard and fast, set in stone kind of thing, because nothing is predicated on the player succeeding on one specific die roll, which isn't great practice anyway. You should always have backups, and this is just kind of baked into the system with the constellations. That's the word I was looking for. If nothing is hinged on that one die roll, and you've got an idea for how they can either find that information or gain entry or what have you, even if they fail, but just through a more interesting manner than, oh, hey, I picked a lock. Definitely kind of like have a couple of ways you could do it. Certainly for myself, I know that I generally I generally tend to, like, as first reaction, oh no, my players have failed at something. What do I do? I generally kind of have like one of a couple of things that that I will improv. I say improv. And it kind of feels stayed. So if you are aware of that, you can definitely start thinking of tangential ways to that, so that you're still in your comfort zone, but definitely things that feel different. So, like maybe they don't find the NPC that they want that has the most direct information, but they find an NPC who can point them in the right direction if they do a favor for them, that kind of thing. My experience with Scion is that the scale of the story makes it more difficult to wrangle. You're working on a heroic level, but I think you need to skip just real life Pokemon. No worries. I say obviously your experience with Scion probably far outweighs mine. I just read the rule books and write stuff. I'll keep this going for the archive purposes in case you do manage to catch the archive. Story scaling is entirely down to the interpretation of the story guide, Games Master if you prefer. Like, so real world example, the D&D campaign that I'm running, the players are rescuing the gods. Like, the gods are imprisoned or asleep or banished from the world, let's say. And the player characters are going around and rescuing them. Which, I will not lie, it was slightly influenced by Scion. I love Scion. I love the concepts behind it. And I think they make for great mythic storytelling concepts. And really, if it's role-playing, go big or go home if you have the opportunity. And obviously that's kind of like a huge narrative. Like, they're just player characters. They're heroes, yes, but the level that they are when they started doing this, they weren't really ready to rescue the gods. So it's all about gradually introducing the scale And I mean, obviously, hero to some extent you can, Scion to some extent you can do this because you can play Origin level as long as you want. Basically, you play it until you feel, until you and your players feel that you're ready to move on to hero. Hero obviously adds a lot of complexity to the game with boons, purviews, immortal knacks, etc. And obviously ramps up the scale in both terms of lowercase s and capital S, uppercase S, of antagonists. But as a story guide, games master, what have you, this, and obviously if you object to any of this, please feel free to let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave me a comment, I guess. The scale of a game, that's what I was saying, is very much dependent on the focus that you put on a game. So obviously with hero you can find some pretty large things. Let's where is it? Where antagonists? Oh, that's the wrong one. There we go. Example antagonists. So, example antagonists in the hero book, pre-made. Just drop them into your game. Basilisk, Hydra, Jötnar. Obviously, all quite large mythic threats. Other Scions, Sphinx, vampires. And sure, yeah, if you're fighting those constantly, the game's gonna have a huge scale because you're fighting building-sized antagonists, for want of a better word, better phrase. And that can feel quite overwhelming because at the end of the day, you are only heroes. You're not demigods yet. You're more than humanity, but less than you could be. Let's say. I'm not saying you can't do it that way. If you want to have a huge scale thing, sure, go for it. Go and take down building-sized giants after tea on a Friday. I can't stop you. And if that's the story you want to tell, that sounds like a pretty rip-roaring pulpy tale, which obviously sound is just pulp through and through. But if you were concerned about the scale of a game overwhelming you or becoming too complex to manage, one, highly recommend some sort of campaign journaling tool, whether it's just you in a notebook or like a wiki or any one of numerous tools that are out there to help you organize campaign notes. I run games professionally and I use a campaign journaling tool to keep everything together because otherwise it would just be a mess. And I don't run large scale games, I run small scale games. But if you're worried about that scale of game overwhelming you, and that's kind of like you're dead set on running that scale of game, the best I can advise is campaign journaling tool and probably a bit of extra preparation to keep everything kind of sorted in your head to fix everything so you don't get overwhelmed by the size of things. Also, at that scale, obviously, you'll be dealing with uppercase scale rules about enhancements and increased difficulties and complications, that kind of thing. The kind of story that I tell with Hero and that we're going to be going through with the adventure when I finally get onto it is more personable than that. It's going to be more of like ramping up to that. So that's the crescendo, finale, climax, call it what you will. They're all synonyms, for want of it, more or less anyway. And yeah, I'm still going to use campaign journaling tools if I run it. Well, I mean, I wouldn't because it's a written document and that will have everything in that I need to run the adventure in theory. But some way of organizing notes, definitely. If you're concerned about scale of things, but if you run small scale games like I do, it helps to split things up into discrete chunks. So going back to the previous example, yes, D&D player characters are rescuing the gods. Don't question I could tell you why the gods are imprisoned and stuff, but that's not the point of the stream. This is just an example. But that's like the full 1 through 20 storyline. Each separate step along the way is a different level. So one of the gods, for example, has 4 locks binding her, well, impaling her, siphoning her power, giving it to some necromancers. So each one of those killing, or finding and killing, or otherwise resolving the necromantic problem, is one level, one story beat. Because I do story progression, I don't do experience rewards for D&D. So even at that point, hopefully you can see some way of how the large scale thing of, hey, this god is imprisoned and presumably in a lot of pain, and is having their power stolen from them by necromancers, which, in and of itself could be an entire campaign. Because, necromancers are presumably doing something and all of that stuff. And you could totally adapt it to Scion. Just saying. Even just being broken down into 4 much more manageable steps makes it suddenly a lot smaller. It feels a lot smaller in scale. It's still the same end goal. It's still teeny tiny mortal rescuing huge god. But there's a goal, there's guidance, there's focus, there's a feeling of, this is something I can do to enact what I want in the face of a cabal of necromancers who have imprisoned a god and are siphoning their power, as I said. So if you're, to roll it back to the question, if you're worried about the scale of a story making it difficult to wrangle, break it down. You can tell a huge, gigantic scale story about fighting Hydra and everything as much as you want. And again, that's kind of the pulp fantasy that sounds built upon. But equally, if you're worried about the scale, have small scale stuff, break it up. Deal with the consequences of a Hydra attacking a cruise ship. Maybe you spend a band deed kind of accompanying the ship to port, make sure it's okay, and there's a murder mystery on board. Or rampaging Jötnar in downtown, and there's a band deed about, or like a personal long-term deed about kind of rehabilitating or rescuing or otherwise supporting a person or a community that the Jötnar impacts. Definitely at origin and hero level. Well, I mean, to be fair, I can't speak for Demigod, but I suspect Demigod as well. To some extent, obviously a lesser extent than hero and origin, but your Scions are still human, for the most part. And they would still be, in theory at least, preoccupied with human things, with emotions and everything that comes with being human, and knowing about the divine world as well. Or, world with a capital W. I hope that sort of answered the question in chat, even if Kung Fu Fenris isn't here. Again, this will all go up on archival stuff on my YouTube channel. Hopefully next Tuesday. So there's a week's exclusivity for Twitch subscribers to the Twitch channel for Onyx Path. For the video on demand on the Onyx Path Twitch channel. And then after that they go... I upload them to my YouTube channel, but sometimes real life kind of makes things slip a little, and it's sometimes like the weekend before this I stream that the video goes up, but everything is recorded for posterity. If you do want to rewatch or re-listen to certain things, and I try to title the videos appropriately. Anyway, I hope that 15-20 minute digression was at least interesting to listen to and thought-provoking. That is the purpose of the show. Lest we forget, the actual adventure writing is just a structure. Something to give me to talk about on those streams where there's no one in chat, or where people are just listening in the background rather than asking questions, and that's perfectly viable. it's called Behind the Screen because I'm giving you a look behind the story guide screen. It doesn't really work the same if you're not playing D&D, but it's the idea of just showing you how I prepared nuts and bolts in games and things and how I tinker with them. So please, obviously, do feel free to ask about that kind of thing. I love talking about it. Anyway. When the Library of Alexandria burned in the mid-260s, certain parts of the world and a handful of deities shuddered at the loss of such a large repository of knowledge. What no one can fully explain is how a mirage of the library appeared one summer's evening in August. Oh. Hang on, 1 second. This seems like a narrator thing. Where's my cursor? There it is. Okay, I just need to check a date on something. Please do bear with me. Is it like a... Oops. Right, when was the... when did this come out? I don't want the history. Well, I mean, I do want the history, but I want the... where is it? Okay, actually, let's... I guess... Colonialism is a good force? It's a sentence I never thought I'd say. I feel dirty saying that. Let's just say early 1700s. Hello, Daddy Dagoth. How are you? Anyway. Let's say August 1710 on its original side. Sentence doesn't actually make sense. What no one can fully explain is how Mirage of the Library appeared one summer's evening on August 1710 on its original site. I guess it sort of makes sense. Again, it's first draft. It'll be edited. The Mirage lasted 2 weeks. And then disappeared. Some scholars of the world believe that a renewed interest in the narrator... Am I filling out a template? I am not. I am... These are just headings that I put in to give myself some structure so I wouldn't have to do it at a later date. So I guess in that kind of sense, yes, I'm filling out a template, but a template of my own creation to save time later. A slightly more complex answer would be I'm following the guidance provided in Mysteries of the World, the Silent Companion, to create my own pantheon, using obviously the existing pantheons as example material to help influence structure and content. Wow, that sounded professional, and I don't like it. Can I take that statement back? Ugh. When did I start sounding professional? Some scholars of the world believe this renewed interest in the narrator caused a memory of the library to Manifest temporarily and bring about a risen awareness of it. Of course, to the nature of the... Why did I capitalize nature? Nature of the world, once someone had suggested it, and enough people agreed, was the truth of the matter. And as more and more the world became aware of it, there we go, aware of it, the library began to take on a more physical form. This process continued for the end of was at this point that later scholars believe the initial, I'd say, precursors to the Inkborn yeah, that's all one word. I know that, Google. I know that. Please don't tell me I'm wrong. People are watching and judging right now. There we go. Please. There we go. Tore the library from the world and hid it away as a terra incognita. Many years later, it was discovered by the adventurer as they wandered through a long forgotten library in the deep forests of Asia, and unwittingly entered spell mistakes for a spell checker and or editor to fix. I'm going to say unstable use. Would you believe I'm an editor? But as I'm stream of consciousness typing, please do bear in mind that spelling mistakes will crop up, and that is the purpose of my editing pass. I was going to check something in the PDF. I believe. Hang on, I could just go to the index. Or I could, if that bookmark worked. But thank you for, I am human. I'm going to make mistakes. Hopefully it's entertaining when I do. To be human is to be flawed. Okay. Is it an origin? Sorry, I'm just checking the correct wording for something before I, type it and make it correct, or make it canon. Again, I don't work for Honest Path, so nothing I create is actually going to be canon, but gotcha. So this would be an Axis Mundi. But I've turned Axis Mundi upstairs. I mean gate. Upstairs. In the text, I mean gate. So that's that. Hang on, bear with me while I check something else. Terra Incognita comprises Axis Mundi and gates. Gotcha. Anyway, back to this. And unwittingly wandered through a gate into the Library of Alexandria. Library itself, again, should this be capitalized? What's the example? What does it say in the book? Yes. Yes, it should. Library itself is an Axis Mundi. Connecting the world to the wellspring and the stacks. Yeah. They're a young pantheon. They're probably not going to be as established with gates and Axis Mundi as other pantheons. In fact, let us take... Oh, this entire paragraph is in the wrong place then. Okay. You know what? Let's just... Gates to the wellspring do exist. So have gates being temporary, but Axis Mundi being permanent. Reasoning there, as I say, they are a young pantheon also, so I don't have to rewrite the entire paragraph. Axis Mundi are large kind of like subworlds. So there's more kind of story wrapped up in them, more legend, so that they're going to persist or be, less mutable. Whereas a gate, it's just a threshold. There's no real stories. Certainly for this pantheon, there's no real stories about their gates. And if a story about a gate takes enough root, that gate will probably end up being permanent or becoming its own Axis Mundi. Did I successfully bamboozle everyone into believing I sound like I know what I'm talking about? There's that, and let's have another terra incognita, because I did pluralize terra incognita. About half an hour left for those who are concerned about time limits and things, or who maybe have plans for the rest of the day. Library of Alexandria. Its proximity to the Inkborn leads to no small amount of tension between the Inkborn and the both the Netja and Theoi. Believe they have a claim to it. Just make sure those are the 2E terms. Pretty sure they are. Yep. Oh, I should also check that it was actually in Egypt and that there wasn't another Alexandria. Library of Alexandria. Yes, cool. I mean, I'm pretty sure there were many Alexandrias because Alexander just named places after himself, but I was correct in this instance. Excellent. Okay, so, hydrate. Hey, you're right. I probably should. Thank you for the reminder. Right, so we've got, like, arguably the world's greatest library. How about a server farm? Let's see. 1950B Sunrise Avenue. Internet made manifest. Yeah, I was thinking like a server farm for like a fanfic site. As these are deities based entirely around stories. More so than other deities are, if that makes sense. And that's kind of like the mundane expression of the internet made manifest, and then you go into it and it's its own thing. So way deep in a mountain range. 1350B Sunrise Avenue is the primary server farm responsible for hosting Gnosis. Well, hang on, these should be capitalized, I believe. Gnosis. The world's largest repository of digital divine law. Oh, that'd be digital repository. There we go. So that sentence doesn't make sense in my head. Oh, come on. We need to make our own archive of our own, or Wattpad. Infinite ink. The world's second most popular. Fanfiction. Oops. Website. And I'm aware that what I'm doing is basically fanfiction. Writing this writing this community content. Oh, I guess I should always ask this, but is the zoom level okay? Can everyone see the text properly? It's this large primarily so that people watching on mobile can see what I'm writing. Obviously, if I were, I say obviously, if I were doing this for myself, it would be at 100%, not 150 zoom. Anyway, 1350B Sunrise Avenue is the primary server farm responsible for hosting Gnosis and Infinite Ink. Originally a joint venture. Is it fine? Good. Between I don't want to draw upon the narrator again, so let's have the truth, the creator, and I think I know the deity I want for this, but I just want to check. I think this works. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, hang on. Is it Nanabu? Nanabuzu. Right, I'm gonna have to actually move that so I can spell it easily. There we go. Mentioned Truth the Creator and Nanabuzu. The two websites quickly outgrew their predicted popularity, and after an ill-advised weekend of emergency legend-fueled maintenance, a new Access Mundi was created. Although this base now nominally holds the servers, holds and powers the servers, shall we say. You know what? I'm missing a birthright title. How did I forget birthrights? It's kind of like the cool things. Whoops. Well, see, I don't know if there is going to be a religion. Whoops. That's the. Hence the question mark. But there definitely needs to be birthrights. Although the space now normally holds and powers the servers. Those lucky few who gain entry. Whether through string polling. Or winning the infrequent contests. On Infinite Ink. Say that it is a digital playground where any experience available on the internet can be made manifest. As a result, many people, both scions, that'll be fine. As a result, many people spend spend an inordinate amount of time, effort, and money trying to break into the secure facility. These would be visitors rarely succeed, as the digital firewalls around the servers have been known to manifest in response to unwanted intrusions. It is said that for every 2 people make it out alive, 3 are lost forever. I'm just going to put their essence. I can't remember if the book uses souls, you know, in terms of over and underworlds, but I'm just going to put their essence used to fuel the divine servers. The server farm. Even better. It's possible to find a temporary gate gates to the wellspring. The stacks, or I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. Sky World. In 1350B, Sunrise Avenue. Sunrise Avenue, although using them without an administrator's permission, not position, is ill-advisable at best. That's an I, right? And fatal at worst. as a result, even though this is an Axis Mundi, many people use it as a pleasure resort instead. Due to the circumstances of its creation, scions and mantles of the Mantu are always welcomed as honoured guests. Okay, two terra incognitae. Actually, while I'm thinking about it. Let's just have a slight thing here about getting into the stacks. I would like to add something else to the overworld description as well. So I might do that, like wrap up the cosmology bit about, you know, locations, and then end the stream and do Titans and stuff next time. Titans won't be so bad, but obviously Titan Religion and Birthrights could take a while to complete. Yeah, that might be a good plan. Anyway, gates to the stacks are typically in dark, forgotten corners. It's likely to be in a library, as a back alley. All one truly needs to look for. Are the I don't want to repeat forgotten. No, I won't be. Are the forgotten people of the world. Lowercase w. Like homeless people or people who fall through the cracks. If this were a certain novel by a certain British author, Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, people who'd end up in London below. Anyway, all one truly needs to look for the forgotten people of the world. Or paths that seem shorter than they are. Walk into the nearest, deepest shadow, whilst bearing an offering of knowledge, of unfinished knowledge. Many scions of the Inkborn who travel regularly to the stacks habitually jot down incomplete poetry. It's an extremely long sentence, you have some full stops. Yeah, you might be right there. Thank you for pointing it out. I know it's technically correct, but it does need shortening. Thank you for that. I will address that momentarily. Many scions of Thinkborn who travel regularly to the stacks habitually jot down incomplete poetry. Technically it's the second one. This is one sentence, and then This is a second sentence that's related to it, but it is a long sentence. Similarly, unfinished. Habitually jot down incomplete poetry, or scour second-hand bookshops for the dustiest tomes they can find. Okay, let us address this sentence length. Why is tomes? Times. Tomes is a cool word, Google. Let me use tomes. From places of the world and walk into the nearest deep shadow. That's better, I think. I'll hydrate while I reread the sentence. As likely to be in a library as a back alley, all one truly needs to find are the forgotten places of the world and walk into the nearest deepest shadow. That's still not a great sentence. Welcome to editing. As likely to be in a library as a back alley, all one truly needs to find are the forgotten places of the world before walking into the nearest deepest shadow whilst bearing an offering of unfinished creativity or forgotten knowledge. The sentence isn't that much shorter, it just reads a lot better now. I'm going to leave it be for now, and I'll let it cook in the subconscious. I need to add material here. When not incarnated in the world. Is Inkborn an iOS text editor? I have no idea. The Inkborn are a Pantheon. Or a Pantheon I've created for Scion. This is all on Google Docs. Google Docs, sorry, for ease of working on... well, mostly for ease of capturing for, streaming purposes. When not incarnated into the world... Inkborn can be found... their own private realms. They are not... let's just get that space there. That line break. They are not a particularly unified pantheon. And except where duties overlap, each is happy to focus on their own... That's nice about pursuits. Each is happy to focus on their own pursuits. As a result, visitors to the wellspring... interesting. Visitors to the wellspring should expect to find no, that doesn't work. Just to Westbury R is likely to find. There we go. Let's say an opera house, leading to the innocence theming. An opera house haunted by an unseen phantom, as they are. To find a plant shrouded temple. The middle of an urban wasteland. Floating amongst the crowd. The floating. I've seen the comment. I will address it in one moment. Floating amongst the clouds and haunted by an unseen phantom. Comma. As they are to find a plant shrouded temple. Okay. I used to usually scribbling complex text, a very handy tool for authors. I used to create hyperlinks from text fragments, resource materials, time and such. Makes it much easier to walk over from text and come back later. Oh, I don't need that layer of complexity. So I write in Google Docs because it's easy to capture for the stream. And then I copy paste it into Microsoft Word, where I actually edit it. If I need to hop between sections, Control K in Microsoft Word allows you to create a hyperlink. And I don't really use timelines all that much. Most guys don't need to. And if I need to, then I mean, you can see I use headings, so I just hop between the sections there. But I appreciate the heads up about Scrivener. I'm vaguely aware of it, but I've never had to use it. I'm the kind of person who, once they've got a project going like this, it'll just slowly be ticking away in the back of my head throughout the 2 weeks between streams. So I rarely kind of need to remember what I did last. This stream was different just because I've had a lot of other stuff on my mind. It's very atypical, let's say. But the way that, this is just a tip if anyone wants to get into streaming, I guess, depending on what wants to stream. The way that Microsoft Office displays text and all of the the graphic UI stuff, it overrides how most screen capturing software actually kind of hooks into your computer to capture the display. And so it doesn't register as anything to display, so you just get a black screen. But because Google Docs is done through a browser window, I can capture it fine. I think if I altered my settings in Streamlabs, I could capture Office properly, but then I'd have to do some weird workarounds to capture the Twitch chat window and the webcam and stuff. And ultimately, Google Docs works. I don't need anything fancy. I just need a text editor to capture. It's got basic functionality. I could put headings in to navigate with and whatnot. Works fine with Excel for you? Oh, I could never capture Word, so I started working in documents. Maybe they've updated it since then. I haven't tried in. Well, I've been doing this for over a year, so I haven't tried in over a year. To be fair, things do change, so take anything I say with a pinch of salt. I've just never tried again. Am I done here? The Wellspring. However, is one of the Travelers to the Wellspring do find, however, that in amongst all the chaos of a realm made from unrealized potential, oases of calm do exist. The Inkborn share their overworld with numerous legendary creatures that have nowhere else to go, that have no place else to call home, and these denizens, that's the word, I believe, and these denizens have become adept at shaping the chaos of the Wellspring to their needs. Really, you can't figure out that there's hey, this word is wrong, there's too many T's in it. I'm not going to delete it, but I tell you it's wrong. Interpret to their needs and have proven, in most cases, to be most hospitable hosts. Right, I'm happy with that. There's only like 5 minutes left, so cool. Today was productive. Overworld, Underworld, two terra incognitae. Also, I guess we've added 2 pages. Yes, we've added 2 pages to the document. So next time, Titans, Titanspawne, and stuff on religion, maybe edging into birthrights, and then I guess this, the thing that everyone wants from me. Disclaimer: people may or may not want this. Pantheon-specific purview. Which I still don't have a cool name for, but it's going to involve fate bindings in some way. So if you include the Pantheon in your game, you're probably going to be dealing with fate bindings. Okay. I'm happy with today's progress. So, hopefully my ramble about an hour ago was entertaining to listen to or informative. As hopefully I've demonstrated by correcting myself about the capturing office, I'm not afraid to be corrected and make mistakes. I know I do. I cannot improve unless people tell me where I'm making mistakes. Hard lesson to learn, but an important one. So if you weren't here at the start of the stream or came in, after I started, where are my show notes? There we go. Please just copy that. Thank you. Monday meeting notes, very important, or very informative, I guess. They tell you what the state of Onyx Path is after the Monday meeting. The big news from this week's Monday meeting notes, was the announcement of the Scion Demigod Kickstarter on Tuesday the 3rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, so 7 p.m. my time, British Summer, UTC +1, I believe, right now, if you prefer to work in UTC. Get hyped for that. Unlike Origin and Hero, it's only for 1 book, plus stretch goals, obviously. I'll say obviously, no idea actually. I do not work for Onyx Path. Goodbye, have a good day yourself. Hopefully you can make the next stream, which is in 2 weeks' time, and correct me some more when I inevitably put my foot in it. But like previous Onyx Path Kickstarters, of which there have been something like 24 between the Scion, Origin, Hero Kickstarter and this one, they'll be releasing chunks of the manuscript text throughout the Kickstarter until by the end of the Kickstarter, it's all, you've got the complete manuscript as is at the time of the Kickstarter, which is pretty cool. They don't need to do it, but they do, and really enjoyable. Obviously, I will not be writing material for that until that game is released, because why would I not use the most current version of the rules to make material for? Also, there won't be any room on the Nexus for it, and all of that stuff, and what have you. So yes, I believe I'll be doing Scarred Lands after this, in case anyone is curious. I might do a Scarred Lands intro adventure. As ever, I will be in chat for like 5 minutes afterwards, while the post roll rolls, so you can see what's coming up on the channel this week. If you have any lingering questions, or you can reach out to me on Twitter. It's Comrade Bubbles there. My email address I provided earlier. I'm not going to repeat it here because you can probably figure out what it is. I also do stream on Twitch. Comrade Bubbles, would you believe? I will be streaming in about 20 minutes or so for a short while. If you prefer to ask questions in person, quote unquote in person, obviously there's still the screen the digital barrier is still there, but you'll get a much less coherent and more rambling answer to any questions you may have. I think that's it. So the next time that I will be streaming is the 15th, actually, on this channel, is the 15th of September, where we'll continue, as I say, with Titanspawn, touching on the topic of religion touching on the Inkborn religion, and all of that good stuff. If you are not on the Onyx Path Discord, I'm there quite a lot. I don't comment a lot, but I do check it quite often. So the Scion channel is probably the best place for any questions. And I may chip in, I may not. You may get starstruck if I do, or just feel honoured because they say I rarely comment. I'm terrible at commenting on Discord channels and forum posts. Anyway, I think that's it. I'll be in chat for a couple of minutes. So I hope everyone's had fun. Hope it's been insightful or mildly entertaining at the very least. Or just reduced whatever tedium you may be experiencing right now. If you are experiencing tedium, I do not wish to presume. Anyway, have a good day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Enjoy the post-roll and whatever else is coming on the channel this week.